If you're a runner, you've seen them. Heck, you might even own a pair. They're on the feet of marathon winners, they're at your local 5K, they're everywhere. We're talking about super shoes. They've absolutely taken over the running world, and they come with a huge promise, a revolutionary leap in performance. But, as with any revolution, there's a flip side. And that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Is this amazing new tech a shortcut to that personal best you've been chasing? Or is it a risky gamble that could land you on the sidelines with an injury? This is the debate raging in the running community right now. And in this explainer, we are going to cut right through the hype and get to the science. So first things first, what is the secret sauce here? How do these shoes actually work their magic? Well, it's not actually magic, but it is a complete radical departure from the running shoes we've known for decades. And it all boils down to a powerful 1-2 punch of two key technologies. All right, let's break it down. On the one hand, you have your traditional running shoes. They probably have a midsole made of something called EVA foam. It's fine, it's cushion, but that's pretty much all it does. Super shoes? Totally different game. They use this new generation foam, a Pebax-based compound that's incredibly light and just ridiculously bouncy. It doesn't just absorb the impact, it gives energy back. And then, sandwiched inside that amazing foam, you have the other key ingredient, a stiff, curved carbon fiber plate. Now, this is where we have to bust a really common myth. A lot of people look at that carbon plate and think, oh, it's a spring. It's like a little pogo stick in my shoe that launches me forward. But that's not quite right. The science tells us its real job is something much more clever. Its main function is to act as a stiff lever. So here's how that lever works. When your foot hits the pavement, that curved plate and all that bouncy foam work together to create this sort of rocking chair motion. It just smoothly and quickly guides your foot forward. At the same time, because that plate is so rigid, your toes don't have to bend and work as hard at the push-off. See, less bending means less energy gets wasted in those tiny joints. And all of that adds up to a much more powerful and efficient stride. So how do we actually measure this newfound efficiency? Well, in the lab, scientists use a metric called running economy, or RE. The easiest way to think about it is like MPG for your body. A car with good fuel economy goes farther on a gallon of gas, while a runner with good running economy uses less oxygen and therefore less energy to hold a specific pace. Better RE means you're a more efficient running machine. And when we look at the performance payoff, this is where things get really exciting. The data on how these shoes improve running economy is, well, it's pretty hard to argue with. Check this out. The original studies on the Nike Vaporfly, the shoe that started this whole craze, found an average improvement in running economy of a whopping 4%. Now, 4% might not sound like a huge number, but in the world of running, a 1% gain is considered a big deal. 4%, that's a total game changer. It's like a cheat code. Okay, but what does 4% actually mean in a real-world race for everyday runners like us? Well, a fantastic study out of Cornell looked at a whole bunch of serious amateur runners, and the results were concrete. Men were, on average, almost 3 minutes faster in a marathon. Women, over 2 minutes faster. I mean, for so many people, that is the difference between finally hitting that goal time and just missing it. But, and this is a huge but, it doesn't work for everybody. The benefit is not universal. One study found this absolutely massive range of responses. Some people saw incredible gains, more than 11%. But some runners actually got slower. Their running economy got worse. It all comes down to your individual biomechanics, the way you run. And that brings us to the other side of the equation, the risk. For years, the simple thinking was, more cushion means more protection, fewer injuries. But the science on super shoes is painting a much more complicated and honestly a much more interesting picture. I mean, it's the logical assumption, right? You look at these shoes, they look like plush mattresses for your feet, so your body must be taking less of a pounding. You'd think so, but what if that wasn't true at all? And here's the finding that really threw researchers for a loop. Some studies, looking at these super cushioned maximalist shoes, found they can actually increase the peak impact forces traveling through your body, amplify them. Wait, how is that even possible? How can a softer shoe lead to a harder impact? Well, the answer seems to lie in this fascinating concept called leg stiffness. Your body is incredibly smart, right? It's always making these tiny subconscious adjustments. If you run on soft grass, your leg acts stiffer to give you a stable platform. If you run on hard concrete, your leg becomes softer, more like a spring, to absorb the shock. So, the theory is that when your brain senses that super soft, kind of unstable foam under your foot, it overcompensates. It makes your entire leg stiffer to find stability. And in doing so, it can actually cancel out the shoe's cushioning effect, or even make the impact worse.
So here's the real bottom line when it comes to risk. Super shoes don't necessarily eliminate it. They just move it around. Because they change your running mechanics, they shift the stress to different parts of the body. We're seeing more reports of unique foot injuries, like navicular stress fractures. And one study was a real eye-opener. It found long-distance runners using these shoes had up to a 5.3 times higher risk of developing a hip injury. That's a huge red flag.
Okay, so we have this incredible promise of speed on one side, and this new shifting landscape of injury risk on the other. How in the world do you decide if super shoes are right for you? It really comes down to a personal equation. So let's try to put it all together in a simple checklist. First, pace matters. The science shows the benefits really kick in at faster speeds. Second, your personal running form is maybe the biggest factor of all. Third, be honest about your injury history. If you know you have weak ankles or cranky hips, these shoes might just put more stress right on those weak points. That's why strategic use is so important. Think of them as a special tool for race day, or for your most important workouts, not for every single easy run. And the last one is the most important. You have to listen to your body. The data shows individual response is everything. When you strip it all away, you're left with one essential truth. Super shoes are more than just a piece of gear. They're a tool that fundamentally changes how you run. They don't just make you a faster version of yourself, they make you a different kind of runner. So the only real question left to ask is that a change your body is ready to make?